Good morning, y'all, and happy Thankful Thursday. Today I'm about to talk about an article that I read this morning. The article talks about how you can build resilience through journaling. And when I say journaling, I don't just mean regular old journaling. I mean, when you journal, you talk about how you successfully coped with a situation. Just 15 minutes a week of journaling about how you successfully coped with a stressor can significantly improve your outlook. So as a part of a 5-week study, 254 ministry workers were asked to spend 15 minutes a week writing about a difficult situation from a previous week. One group was asked to reflect on an incident with which they had successfully coped. The second, to reflect on one where they had not successfully coped. And the third, to simply write a description of a stressful event. The participants were assessed 4 times. Immediately after the trial began, immediately after it finished, and then again after a 3-month mark, and finally at a 6-month mark. As we talked about in our coping mechanisms video, journaling is one of those coping mechanisms. If you spend just 15 minutes a week journaling about how you successfully cope with a situation, it will significantly improve not only your mindset on that situation, but also how you handle future situations. Think about your journal as a running log that your memory may not be able to keep record of as well as a piece of paper can. When you journal, you can put down as much or as little detail as you want. And when you go back, or when you face a situation that's similar, you can go right back to that page and say, hey, this is a similar situation. Maybe it's not exactly the same, because I believe that we experience the same things over and over again in life, but there's a little flair, a little spice, a little something different in each situation that maybe you could draw a new lesson from, or you can learn something from it. That's just honestly, you can learn something from it, good, bad, or indifferent. The participants who reflected on successful coping reported they were feeling more resilient 6 months afterwards. 6 whole months after just spending 15 minutes a week writing about how they successfully coped, they felt more resilient, more ready to just bounce right back after that stressor. I think that recovery time from a stressor or a trigger or whatever you want to call it is one of the most difficult things to deal with, because time is so valuable. We don't like to waste it. And when we spend a long amount of time recovering from a situation that should maybe not take as long to recover from, or that we already know how to handle, no one wants to waste their time. So the less time you got to spend worrying about a stressor, the better off for your health, your physical and mental health, and the better off just overall. It makes you feel empowered. It makes you feel confident and just ready to take on whatever when you are in that mode of resilience. Once you successfully deal with a stressor, you have an understanding you can overcome the same or similar. Associate Professor Crane and her team are using findings from this study and their previous research to develop a new resilience training program that includes self-reflection. They hope it will be more broadly available later this year. That is extremely exciting to me, because I believe that these tools that these professors and psychologists are using will be instrumental in us normal people. When I say normal people, I put the quotations around it because I don't believe that anybody is normal. I don't think that normal is a real thing. I think that we all have our own struggles and we all deal with them differently. But that being said, having a tool like that would be instrumental. I would love to be able to see the data that is collected from people being able to access that tool. Because, again, if 15 minutes a week for a period of time can lead to 6 months of resilience, can you imagine what doing that more than 15 minutes a week is? Can you imagine the effect that that could have on you? How strong that you could feel, how strong you could become? That's amazing. The beauty of writing is you can go back and look at it again and see patterns forming over time, which can help lessons from individual events inform broader insights. I would agree with that statement. I think that, like I said about how lessons can be drawn everywhere, writing is you learning those lessons and putting it down on a piece of paper so that way that lesson is never lost. Writing also helps you get distance from what's going on in your head. Hindsight is 20/20. They say that because when you're in the midst of a situation, it's so big that you can't see it clearly. When you step back and you're away from a situation for a certain period of time, you have the ability to reflect. You have the ability to make that thing small enough that you can figure it out. You can digest it. You can make it make sense. There you go. So, if you plan to journal and write out your coping strategies in order to build resilience, there are questions that you can ask that will help you to do this. And here are those questions. What happened? How did I react and try to cope? What are my goals in this situation? Are the things I am doing getting me closer to my goals? What would I do again to cope with a similar situation? What else could I try next time? Where can I go for some advice? These are amazing questions. I would suggest, if you do plan to actually apply this in your life, write down those questions. Anytime that you get stressed out and then you successfully cope with it, write it out. See what it does for you, how you feel about it. Shoot, if you feel like it, write in the comments what it did for you. I'm going to link the article that I read in the description so that way you can read the whole thing. This was kind of just like my main bullet points and my main takeaways from it. You may be able to take away even more from it than what I was able to. I hope that you have a wonderful, thankful Thursday.